Jack's knuckles whitened as he gripped the steering wheel, the long stretch of highway blurring beneath the waning light. His eyelids felt heavy, weighted with the fatigue of hours behind the wheel. The sun had long since dipped below the horizon, and the cold bite of the night air crept through the window. Somewhere ahead, a faded neon sign flickered uncertainly, the only beacon in a patch of darkness. He'd been pushing himself too hard, hoping to make it further before sleep claimed him. But with every mile, the weight in his chest grew heavier. When he saw the peeling sign for the Sunset Motel, nestled just beyond a grimy trailer park, he didn't hesitate. The office was a time capsule from another era, flickering fluorescent bulbs, stained carpet, and a bored but kind clerk who had Jack fill out the registration card. His room, number 12, was small, worn but clean, and with the promise of a few hours of rest. Inside, the faded wallpaper peeled in the corners. A single bed creaked as Jack threw his bag onto it. The window looked out onto a cluster of rusted trailers and a yard littered with forgotten junk. The motel's neon glow cast eerie shadows that danced in the gloom. Jack dropped his keys on the dresser and headed straight for the bathroom. The shower sputtered to life, steam rising as hot water sluiced away the day's grime. He scrubbed his hair, rubbed the tension from his neck, then turned to the mirror. He stared at his bloodshot eyes, brushed his hair back, and cleaned his teeth. Satisfied, he switched off the bathroom light, crawled into bed, and almost immediately slipped into a deep sleep. Hours later, a dry throat pulled Jack awake. The room was thick with darkness, save for the faint orange glow from the street lamp outside. He swung his legs off the bed and padded quietly to the bathroom. The overhead light flickered as he flipped the switch, casting a jittery glow over the cracked tiles. Jack leaned over the sink, splashing cold water on his face. Then his eyes caught the mirror. For a heartbeat, the reflection wasn't right. The man in the glass blinked once, a little too slow, a little too late. Jack jerked back, heart pounding, his breath hitched in his throat, but when he looked again, the mirror was normal. His reflection mimicked every movement perfectly. He shook his head, telling himself the exhaustion was playing tricks on him. The room felt colder than before, but he pushed the feeling down, stepped back into the dark bedroom, and pulled the covers to his chin. Jack lay awake, listening to the distant hum of the highway and the occasional creak from the trailer park next door. The neon sign outside sputtered, flicking a red glow in his direction every few seconds. Eventually, exhaustion claimed him again. An hour later, a faint noise stirred him awake again, a soft rustling from somewhere just beyond the cracked window. His eyes flicked open. The room was drenched in shadows. A plastic bag caught in the fence flapped gently in the night breeze. The hum of distant overnight truckers roaming the interstate mingled with the occasional creak of a loose shutter. Jack exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. Given how tired he was relieved he'd stopped here and taken a break from the endless highway. He sat up and swung his legs over the bed's edge, feet sinking into the worn carpet. The bathroom light flickered once again as he entered. Jack rubbed his tired eyes with the heels of his hands, blinking hard to clear the remnants of sleep. He tilted his head forward and stared into the mirror, focusing on the tired, bloodshot eyes staring back. The lines under them told a story of too many hours and too little rest. Then it happened. The reflection blinked. Not Jack, but the man in the mirror. Jack's breath hitched. His heart thundered in his chest like a wild drum. The room suddenly felt impossibly cold. He leaned closer, his own unblinking eyes locked on the mirrored ones, searching for any sign of trickery or shadow. He stared hard into the mirror, but the reflection was still. Jack froze, a cold sweat breaking across his forehead. "No," he whispered, voice barely audible. He blinked. The mirror blinked back, perfectly in sync. But Jack knew what he'd seen. His mind raced, replaying the moment over and over. The blink. Something wasn't right. His pulse throbbed in his temples as he stepped back from the sink and began pacing the cramped motel room. The dull hum of the streetlight outside painted flickering patterns on the peeling wallpaper. Jack's boots scraped on the rough carpet as he circled, restless. "I'm just tired," he told himself. "Need some air." He cracked open the window. A cool breeze swept in, carrying the scent of dry earth and distant rain. The night was still, but heavy with something unspoken. Jack pressed his forehead against the cool glass, breathing deep, willing the tension in his chest to loosen. But the unease clung, stubborn as the shadows gathering in the corners of the room. Jack's boots shuffled toward the bathroom again, each step heavier than the last. His throat was dry, his chest tight with a gnawing dread he couldn't shake. He felt drawn back to the mirror. One last look, just to prove to himself that his mind was playing tricks, that the blink had been nothing but exhaustion twisting reality. He stood before the glass, eyes locked on the reflection. The tired, bloodshot man staring back. And then it happened. The mouth of the reflection moved, slowly, deliberately. A long, breathy whisper floated out from the mirrored lips. "Jack!" Jack's blood ran cold. His heart slammed in his ribs like a trapped animal. He jerked backward, panic flooding every nerve. Grabbed his bag with a trembling fist and stuffed his clothes back in. Without looking back, he burst out the door and ran for the office. The man behind the counter looked up, startled, as Jack threw the keys onto the counter with a sharp clatter. Jack tried to say something, to explain, but his throat was dry, his voice gone. The clerk blinked, confused, but said nothing. Jack didn't wait for any longer. He was outside in seconds, the cold night air slapping his face as he slammed into his car. The engine roared to life beneath his hands. He slammed through the gears and peeled out of the gravel parking lot, tires throwing dirt behind him. The whisper came again, long and slow, slicing through the roar of his engine. "Jack!" Whisper. It followed him down the road as he raced for the highway. For an hour, Jack raced along the interstate, heart hammering, eyes flicking to every shadow. Slowly the panic began to dull, replaced by a trembling exhaustion. The night was giving way to dawn, and the first faint light bled over the horizon. He pulled off at a gas station, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead as he killed the engine. Inside, the place was quiet and sterile. Jack gave a quiet nod to the clerk. He headed for the bathroom, needing to wash away the nightmare clinging to his skin. He avoided the mirror at first, staring at the sink as water splashed over his hands. He breathed deep, trying to steady himself. But then, as if drawn by some invisible thread, his gaze flicked upward. Just for a fraction of a second. And in the reflection, his eyes blinked, slowly, and a whisper from the still lips of the reflection, soft and cold. "Where are you going, Jack?"